Hello, I'm waiting on my special guest, but if they don't come to the studio, I will continue to talk regardless.
Hello, I'm waiting on my special
Look
guest.
at me. This is my first stream, y'all. Just FYI, this is my first stream. Um, I wanted to discuss tomorrow so that everybody was kind of aware. There's a lot of information going around. And sorry that I look crazy. I just drove like 14 hours. But I wanted to make sure that I got this information out so that there wasn't any misinformation given. And y'all got it straight from the horse's mouth. Um, so tomorrow the protest starts at 7 a.m. Right? I'll be out there early. I'll be out there probably like 6:30, but the protest does start at 7 a.m. We're gonna have some speakers. I have worked with one of my fellow mates. She helped me create the speech that I'll be saying tomorrow. Quite a few people gave me their input and gave me various things that they wanted to say, even though they weren't here or those that are here that can't make it for whatever reason. Everybody wanted to say their piece. So I'm able to put that inside of the speech that I'm doing tomorrow. There's a lot that needs to be said tomorrow, and it's not just about freedom. It's about all the constitutional rights that are violated throughout this entire case. Oh my God, sorry, did it again. So hold on, guys. I think that this is connected to something else. 1 second. I'm figuring this out. This is my first stream. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I think we should be okay. I just want to read something to you guys because, like I said, I have taken all what I feel the necessary steps to make sure that this protest is what it's supposed to be, a peaceful protest. So there are a few rules for tomorrow just so we can make sure nobody's arrested, nobody gets into any trouble, and we can do what's necessary to bring notice to this protest. The rules that APD, because I have spoken with APD, I've spoken with other people in the departments that are over the sheriff and the Fulton County Courthouse and everything. So this is what they told me. While conducting the demonstration that we'll be conducting tomorrow, nobody shall, one, in any way intentionally obstruct, delay, or interfere with the free movement of any other person or seek to coerce or physically disturb any other person or property. So pretty much don't get in people's way. We're going to stay to the side. If you come out tomorrow and you'll be there, you'll get more information about how we're going to set everything up. But pretty much, we don't want to be in people's way. We don't want them to have any reason to fuck with us. Number two, we can't use any bullhorns or anything like that. When I'm done with this live, I am going to go out to try to get a lapel mic. So when we stream live tomorrow via the Black Law Students YouTube channel, you'll be able to hear me. So no bullhorns or anything like that. Number three, no attempts to give people flyers or anything like that, that's understood. We're not doing it like that. Well, you can get people flyers, but you can't force it on them, whatever. That's, like I said, understood. Number four is what it is. Number five, the signs. We can have the signs as long as they're not on poles, so we can do our thing regardless. Pretty much everything I've been doing for the past couple of times I've been out there protesting, if you've seen. We can't position ourselves on property or in the streets. Again, pretty much everything. So we're safe for tomorrow. And seven, we can't refuse any lawful orders given by law enforcement. So if they ask us to move around or whatever, we will do just that. We want to make sure it's as peaceful as possible so that we don't bring any bad energy to the case or to Thug or to any of the co-defendants or the lawyers or anything. I don't want this protest to be a backlash. Oh, Oh, we have our special guest. One moment. Let me tap them in. I may have to cut off their camera though because they are driving. Um, One moment. One moment. We have a special guest. You got everybody share this live. Share the live. Share the live. Share the live. Um, Let me see. 30 seconds, guys. Okay. So, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm driving or riding right now, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you turn your camera off because YouTube will try to
Oh,
ban us from driving.
you say turn it off?
Yeah, just turn the camera part off.
Okay.
Awesome
I didn't
sauce.
realize it was showing.
No worries, no worries. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll start talking. Let the people know who you are.
Let that one up. Um, yeah, so my name is William Bryan. I'm actually Quindarius Zachary's uncle and the brother of his dad. But more importantly, uh, I'm just somebody who is very concerned about this trial, this YSL trial. I'm somebody who just recognized the injustice of it all. And I recognize that if we don't do something, then we're just gonna be standing up, sitting on the sideline, watching. Put it that way. In half a mile, use the left
Absolutely.
lane to
Absolutely.
Georgia.
And again, I appreciate you reaching out to me. I want other people to know that you reached out to me because you wanted to, make sure you gave your end on this and your voice as well, because your voice matters and your we talked earlier. And your mind is exactly what the people need to hear, to get that knowledge and information that could
Yeah, for the first
change the
place.
future. Um, so make sure y'all share this live. I want people to know I posted it on Twitter, but I want to make sure that y'all share the live because the information that's about to be provided is absolutely necessary.
The left
Hello,
lane to
Pastor
Georgia.
AJ, take a star. Thanks for tuning in. Familiar with Dom. No, I'm not. I'm actually in Atlanta for the protest tomorrow. People are asking, am I in California right still? No, I am in Atlanta right now. I'm actually in Hateville. I'm in out. I'm not downtown. I'm with the people. Um, so yeah, let's get to talking. And again, share the live, y'all. Share the live, share the live.
I think it's very important that we share, we get out, because what we're doing, this is a call to action on our part. And I wanted to say how much I appreciate someone like Empress who isn't just talking, just sit on the sidelines and just talking, but drove all the way to Atlanta to take a stand because that's important. We can't just be spectators when we see injustice, when we see something of this caliber going on for so long, and we witness, we've actually given, like they say, let justice play, play out. Or, we've tried that.
Yeah,
We've tried to let the system, or let in this situation, this particular instance, but instead of the system working the way it's supposed to work, what we've seen is an appeasement after an appeasement after an appeasement for the prosecution, um, for them to get it right. But where is the consideration for, the other side, for the defendants, in the matter who just had their life just thrown up in an upheaval just because of a district attorney, Fannie Willis per se, specifically, want to just compile a bunch of previously adjudicated cases and go after these people with a conspiracy that she can't even prove. I call
right.
this an impossible. I call this an impossible to prove case
It's
trial.
impossible to prove because there's nothing to prove, right?
There's nothing to prove. You can't pay. You can't make somebody see something that didn't previously exist. Remember that at its basis, it's fundamental. This is a RICO. This is a conspiracy. There was never a conspiracy in the way which she purports to describe it out to be in such a way that she want to incriminate people. There was never there. So the consequence of that not being a conspiracy is that she trying to elicit emotion and based on previously adjudicated cases and get the jury to feel some kind of way in such a way that they convict these people. And they don't understand it. You think about it. After all this time, after all this, like I heard someone say, we had they had to wipe the jury mind a few times and tell them forget this and move their mind and say forget that.
It's because how
So
can
after
somebody
all,
do that type of stuff, right?
yeah, so after all this time of the back and forth stuff that they've had to forget and stuff that had happened and the stuff that we're aware of that's behind the scene and they're not even aware of, how could we really expect them to reach a like even understand know what's going on? Like how can they really think like any one of them juries or have kept up with this trial in such a way that they see a conspiracy? Did they
Right.
see the state's case as clearly as no one else does? Do we think that is possible? So we know that's not possible. So the consequence of that means that the only thing that can be possible is that they just will, feel some kind of way. Oh, that was wrong the way they did that way back then. They guilty. That don't make no sense.
Right. Right. Remember, I was saying like I felt like it's a legal double jeopardy, essentially, even though some of the lawyers says it's not, but when you read the definition of what double jeopardy is, this is exactly that, and they're using
It
the legal
is. It's not a legal definition of it because they came with that RICO. So now they're retrying them up under RICO. But you have to go back and look at um I think it was someone, it may have been it was one of those defendants who actually pleaded guilty. Um and you gotta look at how they came back and tried him for cases that they had previously thrown out or allowed him to plead something, some kind of way. But they were cases that had been previously adjudicated, and they came back and charged them up under RICO. So how is that not double jeopardy? How is it not double jeopardy to even some of the witnesses, like for example, who have came in and given testimony, have done so under the pretense or the premise that they were seeking justice for the underlying act. But the
right.
truth is that the underlying act had already been adjudicated in some way. They didn't even know the outcome of it.
Hmm.
Some of
And,
those some of those witnesses.
half of those cases were also some of them were thrown out, some of them people that reserved their time. So
That's
how do
my
you
point.
years
But that's
later?
my point. So the people that was coming in testifying like they thinking that they seeking justice, those cases had been already been settled and they didn't even know this. So now
Mm.
they ain't here, trying to get people to feel some kind of way about those cases and convict these guys. That's just wrong.
They're trying to pull
And
on their
we
emotional strings for a guilty verdict.
exactly, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And when we do that, it's like I said earlier. When we do that and we sit on the sidelines and we debate the semantics within the context of those different overt acts, if you would, then we're just as guilty as anyone else. We're just as guilty as the
Yes,
prosecutor
we're just
because
discussing, but
we're validating that. We're not supposed to be talking. That's not justice. Justice was served way back when those cases was um remedied and however way they were remedied. Whether they people got probation, whether it was thrown out, whether they got whatever happened.
right,
No. So we're not gonna come. You're not gonna. You can't play on us like that. We not can't be used like that. So you're gonna try to get us to get the jury, get the people, get the community, get the public to believe something that didn't exist based upon your presentation, your misrepresentation of the facts.
that's exactly what it is right there. The misrepresentation of the facts, right? The facts that they don't actually have. So tomorrow, um, when we go out there at 7 a.m., I know that we'll make an impact because well, both of us are coming from a place of understanding the root of the cause of all this. Um, I think that I think that they don't want something like what is going to happen tomorrow to actually happen. They thought that people were going to sit back and just let it happen and not say anything, because they want to portray them as oh, they're gangbangers, they're criminals, they're this or that, because they believe that they're guilty before anything. You know, I personally believe that, and
Of
I think
course, you
that
saw that.
tomorrow,
We saw that when Miss Hilton was on direct with YSL with I'm sorry, with Slide Like Shawty, and she
mhm,
kept putting the word gang in his mouth, kept saying winning the game, you starting the game.
right, and he
He
kept
never,
saying music, he
you
kept
feel
saying
me?
music, and she was like, no, the gang, the YSL gang. You there? I think we might have lost him for a second because he's driving. But I think that tomorrow, I, I believe, I know that we're going to make an impact to where whatever they're doing with delaying the case until Monday, um, I think that showing ourselves out there, showing that these boys do have support, that everybody don't think that they're just gangbangers and they should be locked away for whatever reasons, and especially the reasons we don't. Where's Rico? That's been my since I've been watching this case. Where's Rico? Right. So tomorrow with us, um,
We need
staying
to
the
do a Where's Rico hunt through Atlanta.
where's Rico? Let's go find Rico.
Let's go find. Look for me. We're looking for me. Somebody said Waldo and Rico kicking it. That's you
That's
feel me.
good.
So we need to find them. You know what I'm saying? Rico and Waldo. So like that's funny. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's so this is so crazy that we reached the point here in 2024 in the 21st century against the backdrop of all this, prevailing technology, AI and black blockchain technology that we got prosecutors, black prosecutors
Mm.
trying to use government resources to impel and destroy black people's lives because that's all it amount to. And
Yeah.
it,
At the end of the day.
the same district attorney who wants to, act like she is the moral authority on the subject. She the same one using government resources to line her friends' pockets and do malicious acts that we don't
Mhm.
even know about. Do
Yeah,
crazy stuff. That,
it's like a lot of times we get in a position, and instead of doing our job to make a change, we believe that we can just go along with the same old rhetoric, politics as usual. A lot of people feel like, oh, I'm going to do it because they do it, and it's like
yeah,
that's not how
and
that's.
that's the lamest thing that we could ever do. And when we say that's what they do, that's
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so that don't make any sense.
I agree. I 100% agree. Um, and we want to make sure that tomorrow people understand that because a lot of people were discussing me today, not necessarily afraid, but a lot of people are um, have a little anxiety about going to the courthouse, you know. And over the past couple of weeks that I spoke with people, they're afraid of the deputies. They're afraid of going to that building. They don't want to go to that building at all. That's the same building they have to go to for probation
That's
and
how they win.
you
That's how they
know,
win against they leverage their
right?
fear. They impair the fear and then um they keep you mired through your fear. They keep you refusing to take action. And you just become, another voice in the crowd because you won't take action. We can't how can we be let fear in any context rule us and keep us not taking action when we see what has happened? We see the consequence of our action. We see that this trial, after all that has transpired at this time, we see it. And the only reason why it's going on is because we, the people, are abdicating our power and not taking action and saying, let's put an end to this sham, this charade, that
Right.
this facade. That's the only reason why it's going on. The people, 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 no matter in what context and what community, must never abandon their own power in the community. They must always speak up, always take action against when they see injustice. We have to do that. That's our humanity on the line, right?
Absolutely.
We can't allow somebody from a position of authority to paint a picture before us that they themselves were never able to flesh out. and then us go for it, and then the consequence of them doing so is that people lives hang in the balance because
Right.
you chose to come after these people. You chose to use taxpayer resources, government resources. You chose to do so to craft this case in such a way nobody had previously seen it. No one in Atlanta, no one across this country, no one in the world had thought they need to go out the thug and YSL for a Rico. No
Nobody.
one had ever
I don't
nobody
even
had ever
know who
thought
saw
that.
it coming. And like I was saying before, the fact that they can take these men's lives, they've paid their price for whatever it is they believe they've done, right? And here we
Yeah,
are 10 years later, we come and upheave that energy and we're like, oh, well, not we, let me rephrase that. She in the DA's office is like, well, we're gonna tie this all together and 180 something overt acts and all this other stuff. And it's like,
that's ridiculous.
how? I remember when I first seen this, and it was the 700 witnesses that got me before anything, because I said you can't prove a case with 100 witnesses, and here we are 11 months later, and they have yet to prove their case with the witnesses, with the overt acts, with the lack of evidence, with the fact that they, as the judge would say, can't even try a case.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And see, that's the crazy part, right? After all of that happened, the fact that the judge has already signaled so many times her own frustrations with this matter, and she refused to take action. Right? That is
Yep.
so crazy that we see this happening. They, it's like the government is so beside itself that they can show us the wrongdoing and we won't do nothing. They know that we're not gonna do nothing about it. Oh,
And this is streamed live to upwards
so
of
they say
millions.
them punk ass people in the public ain't gonna do nothing.
Man, they didn't know I was around.
That's right.
They didn't know I was around.
That's right. That's
So,
what we need. All we need is one person to create awareness and somebody else pick up the matter and run it from there. That's all we ever need.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Everybody can't be just a part of the peanut gallery, just like on a tennis court. Our heads just going left and right. The DA say something, then the defense attorney goes. We just spectators. We just back and forth. Oh, did you hear what she said? Man, did you see? Instead of us calling and not say this, no, we not gonna watch, be spectators of impossible circus. We're gonna destroy this.
right.
We don't need this to exist because the consequence of a case like this is a mushroom effect. This could happen again. It could happen again. Simply because we didn't put a stop to it from the beginning. We didn't
Absolutely.
say no, we standing on justice. We standing on the principle of our law. Our law is show and prove. Our laws ain't all this hide behind evidence and do all this backdoor tricks and uh have to have a ex parte meeting with the judge behind closed doors. That
Hmm.
ain't what just that's not
I
what
feel like the
justice is.
case should have been over at that point, to be honest, if you want to be frank.
Oh,
I
oh,
it's
oh,
just, you're having an ex parte meeting with a witness that's already sworn in, but yet you're the chief judge and you should know how the law works. And it was just kind of like, oh well, all these mistakes. The judge is always talking about mistakes and mistakes and mistakes. How many mistakes until you're held accountable because you're in a position that you're supposed to be holding other people accountable, but you're not even holding yourself accountable or your
that's
people
crazy.
accountable or the state accountable.
And if you go back to that ex parte meeting with the judge, he's the one that said bring Lil Woody in there. Right? There was in the transcript, he was the
Yeah, I
one
was
that
gonna say
said bring him to
if you read
sit
the
him in there.
transcript, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And he tried to cover it up. And again, it's all to me, between Fonnie and Love and Glanville and even Paige, it's the arrogance of it all. Like somebody that just said in the chat, she said, because they believe we're not gonna do nothing.
That's
And I,
right.
and I feel like if I hadn't done anything, even the fact with my little protest that I was doing, just to kind of show them, no, it's people out here that care about these boys or these men. Let me phrase it, these men. Um, and so with everything that's going on tomorrow, I feel like they may have gotten a little scared because they're like, wait, she talking to the media. She didn't cross her T's and dotted her I's. She didn't talk to APD. Oh my God, this might be, so I feel like that may have been what happened. And that's what quite a few of us think, that's why they moved everything till Monday, because Word on the street is that they didn't want the jury to see the protest tomorrow.
Well, then that's good. We need that. We need to impel some fear. We need to change the flow of the fear, if you would,
I
because
agree.
government people in government power, position of power, when they don't hold the people's value, the people as their motive, then they should be in fear of their job. We should be getting rid of them.
Absolutely.
They
They
shouldn't.
should
We
they
should
should be worried that they're being held accountable by the general public.
exactly.
Be worried.
Exactly. When we see a misuse of government resources in the way that we see in this instance, where millions of dollars, countless of number of people's lives have been affected. We see that being deployed toward that dynamic, but we don't see the alternative where there are resources available to help people reach that better quality of life standard. Then we just know there's something wrong. Like they're saying, we got to address that wrong funny. We got to hit it in the mouth and say, no, we can't keep going for this because everything in this world is against us. And I mean, not just us, black people, I mean everybody, because we live in a state where in a society where you remember when you went, you maybe, I don't know, but I remember when I could go to the store and a candy bar would cost a quarter, 50 cents. Now I go in the store, it's like $3.
I was gonna
So
say
think about
$3, $3,
think
$4.
about think about think about that, right? Think about what that means on a societal level when we're at the register. You know how the register where there always those last minute little things of for me. It don't
Hmm.
cost nothing, but this all good. But we're at the register, and what's right there before us is a chunk of our change for nothing
Mm.
if we want to spend it. Where it usually be something frivolous. But think about the kids, the younger generation when they can't even go to mom or dad and say, give me 50 cents, mom, and they can run and go buy something out, you know what I'm saying? We had that. So think about the state, the condition that means that we live in economically and
You
the
know what? You're
frustration.
absolutely right because we did. That is how life used to be when we thought
Yeah,
community first. But there's no longer
yeah,
community first. You know.
yeah, exactly. So my think about what that means overall for society. That's the world that we live in. So if we can't go to our government official and look for recourse on that, who do we look for? If the government is there simply for the attack on the people, then how do the people ever stand a chance? How do we have a chance? Where do we feel me?
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of crimes in the society come from being placed between that rock of not knowing of that between that rock and that hard place. And that rock means in one instance we see the government against us, and the hard place is that we can't find no type of other economic income opportunities.
Right.
So
And I think even with that, when it comes to resources, a lot of times our communities have resources, but they're not one quality resources. Two, they're not provided by people that may have their own resources to amplify what they have going on. And three, a lot of times other outsiders come into our community and bring in their resources, and it's more
yeah,
so like an
resources.
experiment versus actually trying to create that change for the community. I think that's a big problem as well.
That's true. And the consequence of that ultimately what I'm saying is that all the consequences of this mean that we don't know our value, right? We don't understand our own value in such a way that we know how to fight for it on the front end
Mm,
instead of being reactionary to every situation, right?
yeah, the
If we
proper
don't know
preparation.
our
You know?
and it's time that we our value must be claimed. We must fight for it. Must be fight to be included in the
Mhm.
whole pie, the big picture. Like everything they owe us, we need that because when we don't get that, then y'all keep chunking us off. Y'all keep chopping us off. Y'all keep coming at us even when we do attain. So we need that little bit which y'all owe us. Just to be blunt, right? And
Right,
y'all do owe us. Y'all owe us, right? Not only do you not want to pay us what you owe us, but you want to keep using your government resources to come after us. That makes no sense.
right. So as of tomorrow, it'll be 900 days that they've been in jail with no bond. Um, and that's a shame. That no bond but yet there's no real evidence. There's
No evidence. And
no
not just
real.
and that they've had I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but they've had their chance. They've gotten up there in how many for how long and tried to flesh out this case, and they've not been able to do so. No one is riveting, is sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting on the DA to, oh man, they got them on the ropes. They just go ahead and throw. No one believes that. No one can even articulate what the hell this shit is about. And yet for 900 days, you they painted a picture against these people to keep them locked up for against
Mhm.
what? And we don't
Against
are we supposed to take that lightly? We supposed to just sit on the sideline? We supposed to just continue to just watch that? That don't make no sense.
I don't think so. And I think I told you before, when I originally came down there, it was after they had taken your nephew from the hospital to jail, and that was my end, and that was my push across the edge because that touched my soul. My mom had sickle cell disease. She passed away when I was younger, but that for the HIPAA violations, and two, the inhumane way of going about things, three, the lies inside of the warrant, the whole scope of the thing. So I'll go back to what I said about the
And
entire
what was the
war,
outcome from it all? After they did all of that to him, make him testify, what did they get out of that? Did
right?
they prove their case? Did the
No,
RICO finally come before our get fleshed out before our eyes? None of that happened. Only thing that what you just described was another example of how far the DA, the prosecution, were willing to throw anybody under the bus to achieve their impossible ass goal. This is
right,
an impossible goal. It's impossible to get people to see something that didn't exist, that wasn't there. You cannot paint. You don't even have the wherewithal. First of all, you don't even have the intellectual prowess enough to know what parameters to put in place for people to see the picture that you're trying to describe. You don't
mhm,
have that. What and in your lack of having that, what you hope that happens in the consequence of that is that people just feel some kind of way about previously adjudicated cases,
right,
which means that you want everybody to participate in your rules, right? It can't go along unless we are so stupid that we don't know justice, that the jury is so stupid that they don't know justice enough to stand on that.
right. And so, as far as tomorrow is concerned, I guess we're crashing Miss Fonnie Willis's birthday weekend energy with this protest.
Yay.
She plays such a major role in she's the reason that this case is where it's at, because as we know previously people are like, oh well, Paul Howard didn't do this. If you look at it in reality, those a lot of the men actually went to jail for the crimes that they supposedly did. So how did he not do his job? Because he didn't put a RICO together? He did his job. They went behind bars. They did their time. And that's what frustrates me. But I want to say something before we got deeper in. I read the rules a little earlier, but I want to go ahead and read them one more time for people tomorrow so that you guys understand. This is a peaceful protest, and again, I know that emotions can get high. I understand that a lot of people want their voices heard and they want to do it the way they want to do it, but I just want to make sure that we have uh, our 4 and our 6 covered so that there will be no arrest tomorrow, so that nobody has to worry about the police bothering them. So I just want to go ahead and quickly read what the Atlanta Department of Events sent to me via email. So it says pretty much while conducting the protest tomorrow, no group of persons shall one, in any way intentionally obstruct, delay, or interfere with the free movement of any person or seek to coerce or physically disturb any other person or property. Two, the use of any sound amplifying or voice amplifying apparatuses, i.e. a bullhorn, which we won't have, our voices will be loud enough. Three, repeatedly attempt to give literature or solicit funds to any person who has indicated that such person does not wish to accept the literature or make a donation. That's clear cut. Four, utilize any table, counter, or podium that may impede or hamper the movement of pedestrians on public property. Five, wear or carry a sign or placard that's larger than 2 feet by 2 feet, which is fine with the poster boards that we already have. Six, no person shall position themselves on private property without the owner's or manager's consent, which we have because we already talked to the people that own Fulton County courthouse. And seven, we must not refuse a lawful order when given by law enforcement. So tomorrow, I think tomorrow's going to be great. I think that um, being able to demonstrate and taking the proper precautions. We did not need a permit after speaking with City Hall. So what we're doing is our First Amendment right, and that's the freedom of speech. And that freedom of speech, we saw taken away in this case, right? With Woody wanting to plead the fifth, they gave him immunity. With your nephew wanting to plead the fifth, they coerced into the immunity. So it's like everything that they're supposed to be uplifting and upholding the law, they themselves are not doing that. And that's what baffles me is that they want to be
That,
so arrogant about what they're doing and don't realize that millions of people are watching them make these quote unquote mistakes. You
it
know,
go back.
it's
It goes back to what I was thinking about in terms. What makes it worse is that these are black people who are doing a actions against black people. Remember, right? We've our our history that we've been denied, right? Access. We've been denied, proper representation under the law. So even when we get black people in position of a power, they continue to inflict the same actions upon us.
right.
They make it
It's
even worse. They
mission.
they think about a black person, right? Understand how significant this is. A black person who has been elected to position of a government power uses government resources to malign and try to keep black people, or you basically use the law against black people. Now that they've gotten in a position of power, there's very black people, like we all came from the same pool of wanting access. So when one or two get access, she essentially turn the knife, get it in, and just turn the knife on her own culture, her own, you know what I'm saying? It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
You're
So
getting in, like
we
you were
have
saying,
to
adjust the
we
future.
have to
They
do
go
something
and
about that. We got to get her out of office. We got to call out her actions as being not for us and do something about it, right? We can do
yep.
it peacefully, but
Yeah,
we
we
have
got
to
2
do
weeks to the
it.
election. It's 2 weeks to the election. Um, I think that when we talk about the election, we talk about voting, right? When we see that on November 5th, Fani only has one opponent, right? Mrs. Courtney Kramer. Um, and a lot of people have a disdain because they say, well, um, a Republican hasn't been in office, for Fulton County in over 50 years and this and the third. So I say to that to combat that is what have you seen in the last 50 years as a Democrat, as you say, has run this city, right?
That's right. That's
Have you
right.
are you happy with the way that they've run it? Because if
That's
not,
the question. That's the
maybe
valid question. And
I just
and
think
what
it
makes
makes
it
me
worse is
sad.
that when we have, like, say for instance, right, we can't see the enemy because they look just like us. You
Mm,
understand?
mm, mm.
We can't see it. We can't see it. So we need to change. Remember, right? Government. We've always thought and been anti-government because we were anti-white for the most part, or the
Right.
anti-white oppression. So government for us represent the continuation or the fostering of the oppressive rule,
Mm,
right?
mm.
But we don't, in that context, why we want a black face for that representation. If we want to see the government as our enemy, then we need to put the proper face in its place, right? We don't need to be seeing the government as the enemy, and a black person is behind that face. It's that face because
Exactly.
that black person, historically, their ancestors, everything about their upbringing, everything about who they are, come from the same pool of the depravity of black people, the deprivation of black people, the oppressive rule,
You ain't told
right?
no
So,
lie. You telling the absolute truth.
so we don't need the face of the government that's been suppressing us to look like us. That don't make no sense
Y'all hear him? Say
because
that one more time
then
for the people in the back. Say that one more time for the people in the back.
I'm serious. Right? Why we want the faith? Why we want the oppressive rule, that which we see? which we need to overcome. We need to fight. We need to change. Why we want that face to look like us,
Hmm.
to look like our face, when historically it did it. It never did. It wasn't because we weren't there, right? Up
Right.
before Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, black people didn't have large representation within the context of government.
Mm. Mm.
Martin Luther King never aspired to have a seat in government. Never. There was
Mm.
never an example where we saw Martin Luther King. We never even saw Martin Luther King Jr. champion a certain political power,
No. Nope.
political party.
You're absolutely correct.
So
That's
how is it?
that's really something to think about. I like the way you put that when you said, "Why would we want the face of our oppression, i.e., the government, to look like us?" Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's different. Don't we have to change. We got to make a change that leads to our empowerment. We have to make a change that leads to empowerment on a global level. Black people, even no matter where we came from, we still got to think about the bigger picture, we got to think about everybody, right? We got to be that people say, y'all stepped on us, but we gonna uplift everybody because that's what we've always done without saying it. So in that sense, right, for us to do so, we have to affect change. We can't affect the proper change when we go along with the master putting a certain person, a certain image in front of us to toward the fact that so we won't know where the enemy comes from. We still
Mm.
got to know the government because nothing has changed. Those black people, their whole position of power didn't have not made one act of, I mean, position of government power have not made one act that empower black people. You go all the way back to Barack Obama. Barack
Hmm.
Obama, for example, he rose all the way to presidency. And what he did was when he got in presidency, right, he put a little money in the populace hand and put a lot of money in corporations' hand. And he told you to go spend that money with those corporations
Hmm.
to bail them out.
Hmm.
Feel
I
me, he
remember that.
instructed
I
you.
actually remember
That's
that.
that's what he did. Right? He put a little money in people's hands and put a lot of money in corporations' hands, and then told the people with the little money to go spend the money with the corporations.
Hmm. So I have a question. What do you say to people that say they won't and they refuse to vote for Courtney because she's a white young Republican that doesn't have feet on the ground? You know, they because she's from Fulton County, but they say she's from the other side of Fulton County. I'm not 100% familiar with Atlanta, but they say that she hasn't come to um, South kind of South Atlanta, which makes I totally understand because I actually told Courtney maybe 3 weeks ago at this point we were talking to her on Spaces, and I said you need to go into the hood, you need to go talk to the people.
And do
Um,
what? Okay, so okay, to go to this is the part, right? She's running for district attorney. So remember, as the district attorney, her job still is to be like working the capacity of police. So they say go talk to the people. Let's 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 make sure that we're not asking her to do something that the previous regime didn't do. Don't try to hold her to a standard that you didn't get from the previous regime. What you want her to do that you didn't ask for, no specials, this from the previous. You went along with Fannie Willis
they
being
they
the
they, they
prosecutor.
say they say that Fonnie be in the churches and all of this,
And
and
that's
that's
my
why
point.
people
And
vote for
so,
her.
which go to show how she's a cheat, she's a fraud. Because in government, it's separation of church and state. So that's
Okay.
so why are we asking, why we want to say we don't want her to do something because she don't understand where are y'all going with this? First of all, what is it that you want from your prosecutor? What I want from my prosecutor is equity across the board to apply the same standard to everybody and not to maliciously attack my people just because risen to a level of attainment. I don't want her to do that. That's all this is what this is about. This is what this is primarily about. So Why are we trying to ask a prosecutor who have come in from an outside perspective and had already made a definitive stand and say, I'm going to end this YSL trial? She's already championed said what she would do
Yeah,
for the people, for the community, because it don't make any sense.
that part.
So
But
why?
then, like, then
What are
people are
we
like,
asking her?
"Wow, what else is she gonna do? What are y'all asking Fonnie to do? Y'all not even trying to
Exactly.
like y'all just don't want a white Republican in office. That just does. I don't
That
understand it.
don't make sense. I want a white person in government office. That's what they're supposed to be. They the one that made this country what it is, so they need to stand up and fix it. Don't destroy the country and expect for me to come in and correct your bull junk and ain't giving me the tools and resources I'm supposed to go along with the same status quo. So if that's the case, then you need to have the proper representation, the proper face behind it, so we'll know who we need to be going after.
That is
I
absolutely
don't need
correct.
this. I don't need this. Don't need y'all disguising the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Because black people in government, first of all, you don't have no type of black people. We don't have enough. How I say, foundation, generational
Mm.
foundation, the generation foundation, and wealth across no board, right? So in that sense, that's the reason why we don't is because the way that this country's government has been set up for years. So now it's like that. We don't need black people coming in and championing the status quo of the previous regime. They don't have um a a direct intent toward empowering those people who have been previously subjugated, those people who have been marginalized all of our lives, those people who the laws who have been working against it, they don't have an answer for that, then they are part of the problem. We don't need that representation.
So,
We
so I
need
have
to
a
kind of
question.
represent.
What do you think that people think they're voting for when they vote for DA?
They don't know. I don't think what I don't never because they don't know. People say somebody vote for this, vote. You got to know what you're voting for before you know who you're voting for.
Okay, so I'm about to look up what a district attorney actually is, and I'm gonna share that on the screen. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's that's the question. Like, why? What do you think? What you gonna say? She don't come out to the what? She's the district attorney. She's the one um
Okay, so let
that
me add.
prosecute cases.
So I went real quick. This is what we have for what a district attorney is. A district attorney is a government official who prosecutes criminal cases and manages the operations of a justice department. Their responsibilities include investigating crimes, deciding whether to file charges, prosecuting cases in court, prosecuting the rights of the accused, seeking justice, evaluating evidence, offering plea bargains, handling appeals, and attending trials. Now, what you need to become a DA is have a bachelor's degree, graduate from law school, pass the bar, and gain significant experience, as well as whatever. But at the end of the day, when I look at Miss Fani, um, and how she's even handling the whole thing with Trump and Ashley Merchant and not wanting to turn over information, what I continuously say is, how do you want to hold others accountable when you yourself don't want to be held accountable?
Exactly.
How does that look? Why would you
Exactly.
want a district attorney that doesn't know what accountability is?
Exactly. That's the key question. That is so true. That's the question that we need to ask her.
That doesn't make sense to me. And that's what makes me sad when I hear people saying, "Oh, we don't need a white Republican. She young. She not in the hood. This, that, and the third." Neither is Fonnie. And when Fonnie, I
Nigga,
guess,
it's funny.
when she was in the hood, she infiltrated and
She
she
infiltrated.
Mondo's lawyer, right? So she already
Hmm.
had her information about this energy because she's not from Atlanta, Georgia. She's from Inglewood, California. So with her coming here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she came here because of school or something like that. I researched it, but I can't remember off the bat. But at the end of the day, you say you want somebody in the hood. Fanny not in the hood. Fanny's at the church. So as young people, because we already know the older people are going to vote for Fanny. Cool. But y'all got 10 days or so to make up y'all mind about what y'all really want in y'all future in Atlanta, Georgia, what y'all really want to see. Um, when it comes to y'all judicial branch and how cases are handled, and the fact that there's 3,000, because even after this YSL trial is over, there are 3,000 rape kits that have yet to be processed.
Wow.
There are thousands of cases at this point that can't be seen or heard because of this case. So we have a mismanagement issue. We have a mismanagement of tax dollars issue. We have someone that doesn't want to be held accountable but wants to hold others accountable. Why would you want someone like that as your district attorney?
Why? Why? Why would I want somebody that's so that is just that's the question of the day. Why would I want that?
And it makes me feel so sad for, and I won't say sad, that's the wrong word. It makes me uneasy. How many people that I know that live in Atlanta or that come here often that say the same thing about how the police will pull you over in a heartbeat, or how, the way the police interact. And for a district attorney, you want somebody that's going to come in and make sure that the police have better community tactics and community policing. You want to make sure that you're creating an environment where your citizens don't feel unsafe. Because if you have the police and you have all this, your citizens should feel safe. And the people that I speak to that are in Atlanta don't feel quote unquote safe with the way it's handled. That's a district attorney problem. If she can't sit down with the police chief and where again is the accountability outside of just uh saying you just want a black lady as your district attorney, or just saying, oh, it's the way it's always been. It's politics as usual. It don't have to be like that. And sometimes in order to see change, you have to be able to make that change. That change comes with voting. I used to be a person that didn't think that voting mattered and all that, because you have people in your ear saying this when you're younger. But as I've gotten older, especially in this case, I feel that people want Fonnie out, but y'all don't realize the only way to get Fonnie out is to vote her out. Y'all not gonna just walk in and get her fired. It don't work like that. And the only person that's running against her is Courtney Kramer. There's no black person running against her. There's not another Democrat. There's none of this. You have these two people. And because of what y'all used to, the same old, y'all say, oh yeah, somebody just said, let's not talk about the missing kids. So there's so much going on in Fulton County that you're okay with Miss Fonnie Willis that doesn't take accountability for herself. She's not taking even accountability for Fulton County. So when I look at somebody like Miss Courtney Kramer, I feel that she can come in and at least show us a little, or not us because I'm not a Fulton County, but show the people of Fulton County that different can happen. Fonnie came in and she ran on this whole ethical behavior and not doing this and all these different things that she ran on her platform. But as I've taken a look at her, she's the opposite of everything she said she was. And
Fonnie
the people
Willis
that
is
let you do
fundamentally
here,
evil.
now
She
get her
represents
out.
evil. She's evil. We got to get her out. She thinks she's above justice, above the law. She must go. Fonnie Willis must go.
Yep.
She must go because
Yeah, and
she's
it's
evil. She's an
interesting that
evil
you're a black
woman.
man from Atlanta that's saying that, because for some reason people think that people in Atlanta, black folk in Atlanta, only want to vote for Fonnie or only want this, when we can see clear as day that that's not solely the case. That a lot of people, not just you, but a lot of people in Atlanta are okay with trying something different. Because why continue for another 4 years to go through this? Anybody in that YSL trial could be your uncle, your daddy,
Mm-hmm.
your brother, your sister. You could be called
Mm-hmm.
on a witness stand and intimidated and coerced.
Mm-hmm.
Why continue to allow that? Because that's clearly what's happening under Miss Fonnie Willis.
Mm-hmm. The buck must stop. We must get her out. I mean, because what she's doing, all this is so wrong. It's pathetic. And if we call it anything else, then we're pulling punches. When we
Hmm.
don't take action, we're just appeasing the action of a government that's run amok. When the government uses its resources in the way it's doing in this YSL trial, when it uses its um, official office to distort the truth for the
Mm,
public, that represents a government that has run amok.
yeah.
That represents a government that does not serve the people, and something else is going on. We don't even need to be able to describe what their motive is. We don't know, and we don't care. The
Right.
motive outside of for the people is we don't care what the motive is. We just need to change it to get it back in the proper perspective, the way it's supposed to be.
Or get it in
And
a proper perspective in general, because in many counties, not just Fulton County, I'm from Cook County, Illinois, from Chicago, and we have similar issues, but our city, we got a lot of folks. So I figure, let me start here, right? But at the end of the day, you have a people that's afraid of their police. You have a people that I talk to people don't even want to come to the courthouse because they're scared of what could happen. And it's like, this is you should feel safe as walking into your courthouse,
mm-hmm.
you know?
This is the
Um,
question that I have for Atlanta, right? So if you turn on that screen, you watch the YSL trial, especially when Glanville was on the bench. Then you saw a black judge. We saw black DAs. We saw black sheriffs. You feel me? There was nothing but blackness throughout that courtroom, right? And it was
mhm.
black defendants, right? So the question that I've been trying to have, and if you and I want you to take note of this as you traverse your way through the city over the next couple of days, look at the number of black um, security guards. So with all these black people promote policing the scene, where the criminals coming from? I've been trying to figure that one out. Where my keys? Hey, Brandon, right?
Yeah, someone
You
just
got my
said,
keys.
how do we work to get the kids off the streets so they won't be a product of their environment? I think that a decent DA, that's something that they can come in and assist with. That's why I personally feel
Say
that
that part again.
it has to. Somebody said,
Remember,
how do we get the kids off the street so that they won't be a product of their environment? I feel personally, and this is just my take, we have to first adjust the environment, which includes my stance of agriculture, mental health initiatives, resources, money, and proper resources. And I feel like we got to start with that part, because the key word is a product of their environment. you know
exactly.
and that's
And
where
if you
community.
remember, if you recall correctly, there were some government funds that were sent to Fannie Willis' office toward that initiative, and she didn't use those funds for those purposes.
Sounds like another reason not to vote for Fani. We're gonna wrap it up just because it's getting late. We gotta be up super early. Come out, make sure y'all come out. 7 a.m. tomorrow Eastern. If you want to leave now, if you're not if you in Florida or wherever you may be, drive up here. We'll be out there from 7 to 12, but the bulk of the protest will be from 7 to 9 a.m. We want the people to know that these gentlemen are not alone in this case, and there are people out here that do care about the rights of uh, do care about their rights in general. And the fact that we need people to get out and vote so that something like this never happens again, so that they can't say that after November 5th, oh, we tired of Fanny. Y'all not tired of Fanny. Y'all voted her right back in. How tired of y'all really? Right? That's an issue. So I do appreciate you for coming up. I appreciate you for contacting me. You will be out there tomorrow, right?
Indeed.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for tuning in to my first stream. Y'all know I'm not a content creator, but I'm just here to share the proper information without all the fluff. Thank y'all for tuning
I
in,
see
and
you as an action taker, and I'm
see
I'm
y'all
glad to be a
at
part of it.
7 a.m. tomorrow.